If you want to stand out in the marketplace and you want to sidestep the competition, building a personal brand is going to be an absolute non-negotiable. Not only that, creating a business without changing who you are is going to be one of the most powerful things that you can do to generate more profit, have more fulfillment, more fun, and also create more freedom. I have not built the biggest, the best personal brand in the world. I don't have hundreds of thousands of followers, and I've made a ton of mistakes, but I have been able to generate multiple seven figures over the last few years, posting organically online. And today I want to be able to give you the key ingredients, the insights, and a framework that you can now go and deploy, you can go and install, that's going to now help you win, and it's going to help you build a business the right way. Let's go. So before I give you the framework, I want to share with you 3 little insights that changed the game for me that I think will be really cool because they helped me massively. Number 1, your story won't be for everybody, but for the right person, they will be everything. This really landed with me because it made me realize that my story actually isn't going to connect. It's not going to resonate. It's not going to land. It's not going to be the lighthouse for everybody who watches and follows me. And the more that I water that down, the more that I think about like, who is this for? And what about that person? I need to make sure that I incorporate this. The more you actually become disconnected, and actually the further away that you get from the actual people that need to hear and see you exactly as you are today. Number 2, this isn't a game of look at me. This is a game of you get me. Often there's this narrative of like, I don't want to talk about myself because I don't want people just to think that it's all about me. Now, if all that you talk about is, look at me, this is what I've done, this is what I've achieved, and there's no lessons, there's no relevance, there's no relatability, there's no story, there's no connection, there's no what's in it for them, of course, they're going to completely switch off. This is a game of you get me, where you can create those things that I've just spoken about so people feel seen in your content. That's really the game that we're looking to play. And number 3, in order for you to attract 50 perfect fit clients into your world, you need to be okay with repelling 100. People don't want information. They don't want vague. They want a point of view. They want a perspective. They want a level of positioning. They want to know what you stand for. They want to know what you stand against. And they want to be able to buy into your big ideas, not just the outcomes that you sell. Those 3 things have been such a North Star for me, and actually realizing and recognizing that my favorite Mark Manson quote, you can't be seen as a life-changing presence to some without being seen as a joke or an embarrassment to others. And that's the price that you have to pay for, well, being yourself, and then also sharing that online. So let's head over to the whiteboard. I'm going to give you the 4 S's that I believe that you need to implement and install so you can now really build a great personal brand that, well, is just you. Okay, so let's have a look at the 4 key pieces that you can go and install straight away. To start off with, we want to be able to look at yourself. And when we're thinking about yourself, we need to think about what's the vision? What's the mission? Actually, to make it even simpler, because I think sometimes that can be quite heavy, it's that why are you doing what you're doing? Why is this now important to you? Why do you stand for what you stand for? Why do you stand against? Why do you act and behave? Why are you working towards wanting to solve this problem? People buy into why you do what you do, not what you do. So being able to communicate and convey that is going to be super important. It needs to be at the forefront. And that's going to encompass your brand, your message, your story, why you behave in the way in which you do, why you value the things that you do, and how you do what you do as well. Number 2, we want now to be able to think about actually what you're not. And the reason this is really cool is because it can be so easy to focus on like, this is what I am, and this is what I've achieved, and this is what I've done. But actually one of the greatest ways to create this level of connection, this level of resonance, this level of relatability is like highlighting like what you're not. Like if you're looking for somebody who is absolutely shredded, who eats 6 meals a day, who is always on plan, who always nails absolutely everything, and they live and breathe fitness, then I'm probably not going to be for you. But if you want somebody who likes a social life, that values his family and puts family first, you love and you enjoy training, but it's not absolutely everything, and you want to be able to build a body that not only looks good, but makes you feel great and gives you an abundance of energy, then I'm probably going to be for you. The example that I use quite often actually in the coaching space is like, if you're new and you're up and coming in the industry, it's like you haven't got years of experience. You might not have hundreds of results. You might not have all of the degrees and skill sets and qualifications. And instead of then trying to pretend, it's almost like actually owning that. Hey, listen, like if you're looking for somebody that's got decades of experience, hundreds of qualifications, and they've worked with thousands of clients, I'm probably not going to be for you. But if you want somebody who's young, who's hungry, who's been on this journey and has now got this commitment to want to, then I'm probably going to be the guy or girl for you. And not only that, I'm probably also going to be cheaper, and I'm also going to put in even more time, effort, and energy because I have a huge passion and will and want to now be able to go and make this work. So I think actually being able to talk about what you're not even more so brings a greater level of connection because you're owning it. Not only that, I think it actually also allows you to then be able to amplify what you actually are and what it is that you can do. So being able to make a list of that is going to be super cool. And then number 3, I shared this in the community piece. It's actually the language that you use. This is one of the greatest connectors that brings people together. So what is the language? What are the terms? What are the phrases that you now use that people are going to be buying into? The way in which you communicate, your pace, pitch, and tone, the key words, like all of this stuff. And of course as well, like this is how we are influencing people through language. So It's, of course, trait jacking from other people, but I think it's actually just, if I was to speak like from a place of openness and this is just me, how would I communicate? How would I convey? What would I say? What wouldn't I say? And just almost allowing yourself to open, I think, can be so great. And number 4, little sprucey bonus, is like your specialization. This almost comes back to like your positioning, which ties quite nicely into this. It's like, actually, what is it that you are great at? What is it that you're obsessed about? What is the real craft and the skill that really is your area of expertise that you absolutely 100% are about? So that is the self. If we then look at the second piece, we've then got the story. Your story is going to be your origin story to start off with. Now, your origin story, I think, will always shift, evolve, and change. So my origin story has changed multiple times because when I was a professional footballer, I then got into bodybuilding and I competed for the first time, got sponsored by Optimum Nutrition, then started my fitness business. That's a completely different origin story to now me working with coaches, consultants, and experts who now want to be able to craft and create a business their way. So your origin story will always vary. And whenever you're thinking about your origin story, we have got, number 1, what was your call to adventure? What was that very moment that everything kind of began? What was the catalyst? The second thing we've got to think about, which is super important, is like, what were the barriers and what were the beliefs that were keeping you stuck, that were holding you back? And this is this internal dialogue. Fear of failure, it not working, lack of time. What if I do this and it doesn't work out? Maybe the fear and the thought process of maybe being lonely and having to leave where you were right now. Like there's all these narratives and stories that we can't, what if I'm not good enough, etc. So what was that? You've then got meet a guide. So who was that person? And that doesn't necessarily need to be a person. That could be a book, that could be a YouTube, that could be a podcast, that could be a friend, that could be a family member. And it's not about what they did with you, it's how they made you feel. What did they give you? Maybe they gave you hope, maybe they gave you belief, maybe they showed you what was possible. So again, that meeting a guide is so important, not based upon like this is what they did for me, but it's actually how they made me feel, what was it they enabled me to access, because that's going to be exactly what you're going to be for your people. You've then got burn the boats. I'm just going to write BTB. This is now where you decide to make a commitment. You fail, you learn, you spend time, you spend money, you get some wins. This is like the fuck about and finding out, but this is where you're making the commitment to now be able to go all in and you're just trying to figure it out. And this is the stuff that you can start to communicate and convey, because these are the lessons, the stories, the experiences that you can highlight, because what it actually is that you're now selling inside your coaching business is you're selling, well, how do I get somebody from A to B in a faster, smoother, quicker, or easier way so that they can leverage and they don't have to go through the mistakes and challenges that you've now been through. You've then got the new way, AKA, what was, again, your big idea? What happened? What was the system? What was the process? Having now gone through all these different things, what was it that you were able to now put together that then actually enabled you to have that success? What was that success system that you were able to implement? You've then got the transformation. And the transformation isn't just the external. It's about what were you then able to do? What were you able to access? What were you able to have? What were you able to become? Because whenever we're thinking about marketing, advertising, copywriting, whatever it now might potentially be, people are going to be responding to what they're not, what they don't have access to, what they aren't able to do. So what you're showing them is like, this is where I was, this is what I didn't have, these are the barriers and the beliefs that I went through. Here's somebody that helped me unlock that because this is what it gave me. Here's the journey that I then went through. Here's then the system that I've put together, which is now going to be your philosophy and your methodology. Here's the transformation. This is how my life looks now. This is what I've been able to access. This is what I've been able to achieve externally and also internally. And then I always like this to add, like, this is now why you do what you do. And if you want help building out your very own origin story, drop me a message on Instagram with the word founder. We have put together your own founders GBT, which basically means that you can plug in and go through your story, and it's going to be able to put together a series of posts that you can now go and use, which can either be one post or it can now be a series of posts that you can put together. This has been an absolute game changer. It's transformed so many of our coaches' personal story and it's made it so simple, so easy, and it's actually giving them a process to now be able to follow. So if you want that, drop me a message with the word founder story on IG and I will fire that across to you and you can go and implement that straight away, and it's going to save you a ton of time. And then secondly, what we've got is like, what are the lessons and the experiences that you're living right now? Again, people are going to buy into stories, and quite often what happens is with any of this, it's like, I haven't really got any stories, but every single day you have got chats that you're now having with clients. We'll do a blue for this. We've got your calendar, aka like, what have you been up to? What's gone on this week? Have you eaten in restaurants? Have you been on holiday? Have you been on a trip? Well, there's so many things that you do day to day that maybe you don't realize or don't appreciate. What calls have you had? What were the insights that you were able to gain from those conversations? What were the problems that you were solving? What's the content that you've now watched? there's always going to be so many powerful stories within all of this that you can then start to use. And again, this is going to tie them back to a lesson and insight why you do what you do. But there is a story in every single day, but it can be so easy just to normalize the fact that there's nothing really interesting. So it's like, how can you start to bundle that in? And if you're struggling, just actually work through those. One of our greatest things that you've got is actually calls. Being able to take your call transcripts or even your WhatsApp conversations and being able to actually pull that into a system where you can pull the transcripts and actually get some really valuable insights, which can be such powerful content for you moving forwards. So once we've got self and story, we've then got a showcase. And like I spoke about on the above, how are you sharing success stories? Because in all of this, you're not the hero, you're the guide. And your goal is to now be able to make your clients the hero. So how well are we currently sharing the success stories of your clients, the journey that they've been on, what they've been able to accomplish and achieve, and a lovely little framework that I really like to use that I think you could use, which would be really cool for content, just to be able to work through. I might not do this in orange because I'm not sure how well this would come up. We'll do this in green just to mix it up. Is number one, think about where they were before. What were the biggest barriers that they were bumping up against? What beliefs did they have that were holding them back? And then what was the breakthrough? So the next time you create content for any success stories, just work through that. Where were they before? What were the barriers? What were the beliefs? And then what was the breakthrough you were able to give them? Because our goal is to be able to then really make them the success story, and you're the person who is then the guide that's taking them on that journey. Number two, you've actually got, what's the problems that I now solve? I took this from StoryBrand by Donald Miller, which is like, you have three problems that you solve. You have the external problem, you have the internal problem, and you also have the philosophical problem. The external problem does exactly what it says on the tin. That now might potentially be the body fat, that might be the performance, the PB, whatever it now might potentially be. The internal is like, what's the feeling? What's the emotion? What's the confidence, the conviction, the self-belief? Like, what is the internal problem that you now really want to be able to solve through what it actually is that you do? And then the philosophical problem is the deeper meaning. It's the deeper why behind that. What does that actually allow them to access? What does that allow them to become? What's going to be the greater thing that they're now going to be able to create as a byproduct of that? And that's, again, that's more looking at the North Star. So really starting to understand, sit down and think about what are the three problems that I now solve through what it actually is that I do. And finally on here, we've got, I had to think about this for a second. Collabs, partners, networks. So often your personal brand is going to be not only built on like you, it's actually going to be built upon actually who you're associated with, who you're affiliating with, because it's going to be those connections, those networks, those rooms, those opportunities that, again, people are going to now be able to paint a picture, which is absolutely huge. And this is not just partnering and connecting with people because you think that's going to give you more influence or it's going to give you more following. It's actually being able to find people who are like you, that have similar values to you, that again will help you access and will help you create a wider and a greater network. And finally, we've got standards. Within standards, I'm going to vary this up a little bit because we can talk about obviously how you turn up and how you show up and your energy, and I think that's a huge part of this. But actually, I think number one is like how you do what you do. It's like almost just being able to show your work, and that's showing your work through both living it and also learning it. So it's almost being able to help people go through a more what's possible to how it's possible. And you show people how it's possible by showing them how you're living it and how you're doing it, and then also get them to learn it, aka like, this is the process, this is what we do, this is how we do it. Again, this is your methodology. This is that kind of like old way versus new way. This is coming back to obviously in here, which is absolutely huge. Number two, when I think about why does somebody really connect with somebody, or why is somebody being really drawn into somebody else, I think it comes down to two main core pieces. And number one, that is empathy. And number two, it's authority. And the two questions that I ask is, can or why would I trust this person? Can or why would I trust this person? Number two, can or why would I respect this person? When it comes to your personal brand and actually comes to you being able to put yourself out to the world, it's actually people are looking to start to see elements of them within you. They're looking for commonalities, similarities. They're looking at your values. They're looking at how you see the world. And so often, whenever actually you're looking at following somebody, if you only have authority, that's absolutely amazing. But actually, sometimes you can almost be too far away because there's not that level of like connection, and there's not that level of like, I see you, I get it, I hear you. And if all you have is like this level of empathy, but there's not this authority of like, this is what I've done, this is what I've achieved, or this is what I'm doing, and this is the journey that I'm going on, and this is why you should kind of listen to me, then again, there's always going to be this gap because it's like this person gets it and they understand, but I can't quite see how they're going to get me from A to B. So two questions to ask yourself is like, actually, when you're kind of creating and producing, it's like, why would my people trust me? Why would my people respect me? And often that can't be just like made up. That's got to be something that's going to be built upon behavior. That's got to be built upon you living and breathing what you say that you do. That's got to be sharing like the vulnerabilities, the challenges, the lessons, the insights, and also that level of like honesty and transparency, and also just telling the truth, and also celebrating and highlighting your wins as well and what it is that you've been able to accomplish and achieve and do. Because like I said previously, people are buying into what they're not, what they haven't got access to, what they're not able to do. And actually, again, if you think about it from like an influencer world, influencers because they're living a lifestyle that the majority of people can't. So a huge part of you is like buying into the human being first before they're actually buying into anything else. So that is an amalgamation of just different things I think you can put together and start to think about. There's not going to be a secret sauce. Like, nobody is better at being you than you, and that's what people need. And there's been so many times in my early career in this game that I would pretend to be somebody that I wasn't, because it was who I thought they needed me to be. It's what I thought that I needed to act like and how I needed to behave. It's like, what do I need to do to be successful? How do I need to behave in order for me to be able to get more clients? What is X person doing? And whilst there's credit and there's merit within that, it's actually realizing that once you strip back the layers and you allow other people to see you because you're now being seen, that's going to be the real level of connection. Your values are going to be the very thing that are going to pull the right types of people towards you. And like I said, you're not going to be for everybody, but for the right person, you'll be everything. And that level of point of view, perspective, your ideas, what you stand for, what you stand against, and being able to demonstrate, communicate, and convey that and these areas and in those elements with both your own journey and also how you're helping your clients and what you're building and what you're creating, I think is going to be the very thing that's going to pull even more perfect fit people into your world. And not only that, build a business without changing who you are, which is something that becomes an extension of you. It's fun. It gives you more freedom. It gives you more fulfillment, and also less filter, because you're not having to question or doubt or second guess or worry about what everybody else is doing, because you're just focusing on your strategy, your framework, and then you're just installing you into that. So I hope you've been able to take something away from this. And also, if you want to now think about how does this tie into building a great community, go and watch the training that I just did a couple of weeks ago on how you can build a community that's sticky, that people love being a part of, because these two marry up perfectly together. And once you nail that, you've got the foundation of something special. Until next time, speak to you soon.